All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 4th, council. Once again, we are doing it electronically due to COVID. So we'll call this meeting to order. Roll call. I believe everyone is here. Disclosure of pecuniary.
Councillor
John
Keogh.
Pardon me, I'm having trouble with my screen. So Councillor Keogh is absent tonight. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. If anyone has any, let the clerk know. Minutes of the previous meeting from October 21st. Any errors or omissions or questions arising? I'm not seeing any from anyone, so we need a motion to approve those minutes. Councillor Nickel, Councillor Hemming, all in favor? Carried. Okay, public meeting. We do have a 6 o'clock public meeting as Committee of Adjustment. So we have to have a motion to go into Committee of Adjustment. Councillor McClinchy and someone.
Councillor Hemming.
Councillor Hemming. Okay, sorry. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so
The minutes we'll accept first.
yeah, we have to do the minute. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to catch up to the.
Yep.
Okay, so we do need the minutes. And that is from August 19th, correct?
Yes.
19 minutes. We need a mover and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Ellison. Seconded by Councillor Moyer. All in favor? Carried. So do we need to take a break for a second to get someone in here?
Yes.
Okay, we'll just take a break for a second then. And I think are we looking for John Barnett? Is that who we're looking for?
He's in as well.
Yeah. He's in, but we have to give, 5 minutes period for other people to get in if they speak to it. So I'm going to put up the splash screen if everyone would like to mute.
Okay, thank you.
Unity and just compassion for each other. The number of Americans who have their lives, but how can you start people about how they feel about this I'm happy about that. Have certain tools and have his nailing validation for Joe Biden. It was a very sleepless night. There was a point on Tuesday night at around 11 o'clock where everything seemed to be trending in the wrong direction. That's why hearing President Donald Trump's comments that the mail-in ballot process is right for fraud and manipulation doesn't sit well with adversaries who said undermining the system by which he voted is offensive on a personal level. I did my Democratic duty to vote because I'm over here and because of the pandemic. I can't go drop my ballot off over there, so I actually have to pay for the postage to mail my ballot over there. And then when you've got the leader of the country, the president, calling that into question, it's a bit offensive. But I was prepared for it. As it turns out, Michigan is yet a battleground state. The pathway deal law. It has nothing in the
It looks like we're all back and ready to start in again. Do we have John there?
I just moved him in, if you can hear.
Okay,
Can you hear me all right?
yes,
Okay.
all right. Okay, so our first order of business is application B07-2020 for consent to sever land surplus farm dwelling severance at 10802 Argyle Street, Anne Marie Van Duren. And I believe John Barnett is here to represent them. And so Stephanie, if you would like to begin.
Yep, so I think I'll start. I'm going to share my screen with you guys here. So you should see the location map up in front of you. So the purpose and effect of the application is to sever a surplus farm residence with a lot frontage of approximately 10.56 meters or 34.6 feet along Argyle Street, which is just the width of the existing driveway, and an area of approximately 0.85 hectares or 2.11 acres from a farm parcel with a total area of approximately 41 hectares or 101.5 acres. The lands proposed to be severed contain an existing single detached dwelling and an existing access easement in favor of the abutting lands, I guess to the north, we'll call it, and are otherwise vacant of buildings or structures. The lands proposed to be severed are serviced by municipal, privately owned, individual septic and well, and do include an existing access from Argyle Street. And the lands proposed to be retained contain agricultural land and crop production and are otherwise unserviced as they are used for agricultural purposes. The provincial policy statement, the county official plan, and the municipality's official plan generally permit lot creation in agricultural areas to dispose of dwellings surplus to a farming operation as a result of farm consolidation, subject to criteria. And staff are satisfied that a farm consolidation will be achieved and that the residents may be deemed surplus to the needs of the farming operation. The applicants have provided supplementary information that demonstrates ownership of a number of farm holdings containing additional dwellings, and impact data has indicated that the existing dwelling was constructed about 1946. The North Middlesex official plan indicates that the severed parcel shall generally only be as large as necessary to accommodate on-site water and sanitary disposal facilities, and shall generally be a maximum of 1 hectare or 2.5 acres in size. Staff note that the area of the lands proposed to be severed are 0.5 hectares or 2.11 acres, remaining consistent with the maximum size, and also the minimum lot size requirement of 0.4 hectares or 1 acre of the AG1 zone. And the proposed lands to be severed include the septic system and well, and are considered to be appropriate in size. As a condition of the consent application, the lands to be severed will need to be rezoned from the agricultural the agricultural small holding zone, which requires a minimum lot frontage of 50 meters and a minimum lot area of 4,000 square meters. Staff note that a site-specific AG1 zone will need to be applied for to recognize the lot frontage deficiency, but are of the opinion that all other zoning standards should be met. Additionally, the lands to be retained will need to be rezoned to the general agricultural exception zone, and that's to prohibit the construction of a new dwelling on the lands. And all other zoning standards of the A1 zone appear to be met. So planning staff are satisfied that the criteria for a severance of a surplus farm residence have been met or can be appropriately addressed through the conditions of consent. Notice of the application has been circulated to agencies as well as property owners in accordance with the Planning Act, and we received the following comments. So Bell Canada noted no concerns with the proposal, and Ridge Gas has noted that they do not have any assets in the area. And the North Middlesex Public Works Department provided the following. So they did note that there is water fronting 10802 Argyle Road, and the retained/severed lands are currently not fed via the North Middlesex distribution system. And if either the retained or severed lands request a water service hookup, they will be subject to current levies and dues upon the request to hook into the system to the satisfaction of the municipality. Access to the retained and severed lands are accessed from Argyle Road, and the retained lands appear to have no existing access to the lands from Argyle Street. So entrances to Argyle Road will be satisfaction of municipal road staff, and all costs associated with the installation of a new entrance, if deemed necessary, will be at the owner's expense. And it was also noted, something on my screen. It's also noted that a drainage reassessment will be required. And the North Middlesex Chief Building Official has requested that a condition of consent that a licensed septic installer verify the existing septic system is fully contained on the severed lot and that it is in good working order. And at the time of writing the subject report, we have not received any written comments from any members of the public. So it is recommended that the application be granted subject to the following conditions. Condition number 1, that a certificate of consent under section 5342 of the Planning Act shall be given within 1 year of the date of the notice of decision. The request for the certificate of consent shall be accompanied by a written submission that details how each of the conditions of the consent has been fulfilled. Condition number 2, that the taxes on the subject property are paid in full. Condition number 3, that the fee for the certificate of consent be paid in accordance with the municipality's fees and charges bylaw. Condition number 4, that a zone bylaw amendment that appropriately rezones the retained and severed lots of consent B07-2020 be in full force and effect. Condition number 5, that an adequate and potable water supply be demonstrated to exist on the severed lot to the satisfaction of the municipality. Condition number 6, that an entrance permit be obtained for the lands to be retained for access off of Argyle Street to the satisfaction of the municipality. Condition number 7, that due to the severance, the assessment schedule for the Brown Municipal Drain is required to be reassessed under the Drainage Act to the satisfaction of the drainage superintendent. Condition number 8, that verification of the septic location being wholly contained within the proposed severed lands be submitted to the municipality. Condition number 9, that a pump out inspection and evaluation of the septic system be completed to the satisfaction of the chief building official. Condition number 10, that a plan of survey prepared by an Ontario land surveyor in a form suitable for registration be submitted to the municipality. And condition number 11 is that the owner solicitor submits an undertaking in a form satisfactory to the municipality to register an electronic transfer of title consistent with the consent decision. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. This time I'd ask the agent, John Barnett, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, not a whole lot to add. Just want to note on that drawing that Stephanie had up there, the buildings behind the house were still there, but they've since been removed. Just thought that'd be relevant. And I think that's just about it.
Okay, thank you, John. Right now, do we have any public? Mike, do we have anybody wanting to speak from the public? No? Okay.
No, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Questions from council? Any questions? No questions from council? None? I don't see any. I do have one. Stephanie, you mentioned that they weren't allowed to build a new house on the facility. Is there a timeline to that?
So, to the mayor, it's a very standard condition that the remnant farm parcel of land, in surplus farm
Oh,
dwelling
sorry.
severances, you're not permitted to build a residence, and that's coming from the provincial policy statement, the county official plan, as well as the North Middlesex official plan.
Thank you. I understood it. I was thinking that you weren't able to tear the house down. That's what I was getting at. Sorry. I just misunderstood. The other question I had was for Jonathan Graham. I think Jonathan's there. Jonathan, if they were to get water, we would be putting a meter pit in, wouldn't we?
Yes, through your worship, we would be.
Okay, that's my only other question. So if there's no other questions from council, we do have a recommendation in front of us. Moved by Councillor Moyer, seconded by Councillor Hemming. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you. And Jackie, did you want to speak to that on the 20 days?
So yes, there is a 20-day appeal period that'll apply from date of notice of decision, and I will be providing that to the applicant and agent.
Okay, thank you. Our next order of business, do we need a brief recess for our next order, Mike?
Yeah.
We do?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be going back, so remember to mute your screen. All right, once again, we're back. Do we have someone joining us from the public, Mike, on this? Not at the correct, not at
Through
the,
your worship, we do not for this application.
okay, thank you. All right, so right now it's the application MV 06-2020 for minor variance for a storage shed at 357 Station Street, Park Hill. Will Rempel is the owner. And so Stephanie, if you're ready.
Thank you. So again, I'm just going to share my screen. Perfect. So the purpose and effect of the application is to seek relief from section 6.3.2C and 10.21 of the North Middlesex zoning bylaw, which both state that an accessory building can only be located in the side or rear yard. So more specifically, the applicant has applied for a variance in order to permit the construction of an addition to the existing detached garage that is proposed to be located in the front yard between the existing dwelling and Park Hill Drive. The subject lands are located on the north side of Park Hill Drive and west of Station Street in Park Hill. The subject lands currently comprise of an area of approximately 4.6 hectares or 11.57 acres and are irregular in shape and known municipally as 357 Station Street. The subject lands contain an existing single detached dwelling, a detached garage, and a garden shed, and are serviced by municipal water and sanitary systems. The subject lands are located within the residential area land use designation of the North Middlesex official plan and within the residential density 1 R1 zone and the future development FD zone of the North Middlesex zoning bylaw. The existing dwelling, existing detached garage, and the proposed addition of the detached garage are located in the residential density 1 R1 zone area of the subject lands and appears to be located outside of the environmental features of the land. The subject lands contain woodlands and significant natural area as per Schedule C of the North Middlesex official plan and significant woodlands as per Schedule C of the county official plan. Majority of the subject land is regulated by the Asabo Bayfield Conservation Authority, and the woodlands are predominantly what make up the future development of lands. The applicants are proposing to construct an addition to the existing detached garage with an area of 146 square meters or 1,575 square feet with a height of 4.8 meters or 16 feet that would be located closer to both Station Street and Park Hill Drive than the existing dwelling. And the applicants wish to place this addition in this location as it would be located at the end of their existing driveway, which is off of Station Street. And also because, as you can see on our mapping system here that's up in front of you, there is a limited building envelope that is located outside of the Conservation Authority's regulated area, which is shown on red here. And it extends for most of the property. It's difficult to see under the green overlay. And it has to be within our R1 zone that would actually permit an accessory building. So the applicant has advised that the garage would be used for personal storage purposes. Staff have evaluated the application against the 4 tests of a minor variance and are of the opinion that the proposal is considered to be minor in nature. It is an appropriate use of the land, and it does maintain the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw. Notice of the application has been circulated to agencies as well as members of the public in accordance with the Planning Act, and we did receive the following comments. So the county engineer has no comments or concerns with the proposed application. The North Middlesex Chief Building Official has noted no concerns with the proposed development. The North Middlesex Public Works Department has indicated no comments on this application. And at the time of writing the subject report, we did not receive any written submissions from members of the public. So it is recommended that the application be granted. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. At this time, is there any questions from council? Unless, do we have someone from public, Mike? No one here at this time? Okay. Any questions from council? On seeing none, we have, oh, shoot. We have a motion in front of us. Jackie, you'll have to, I've lost my screen. You'll
Okay.
have to get that for me.
So we're looking for a mover and a seconder on the planner's recommendation.
Okay, I've got you back. Councillor Nickel, Councillor Moyer. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. At this time, we need a motion to go out of Committee of Adjustment. Motion to go out of Committee of Adjustment. Councillor Hemming, Councillor McClinchy. I'm waiting for your hand to go up. Yeah, okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so we do have a delegation at this time, and it's from the Blessing Shores, Janet Johnson. So we'll just wait for Janet to come in.
Through your worship, I have added Janet into the meeting. Nope, she's off
Okay.
mute now. Can you hear us
Okay,
all
are
right,
you there?
Janet?
I can hear you.
Perfect.
That's great, Janet. Janet, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening. I'm new at this, so bear with me. Mayor Rob and members of council, I appreciate the opportunity to voice our concerns about the recent sign activity on Mill Street. I sit here tonight as an individual representing the board members of Second Blessings Community Store here in Park Hill. If it were not for the COVID situation, there would be a number of people sitting behind me to show their support for our request in the letter that you received in mid-October. The Carnegie Gallery Board, as well as a couple of Mill Street residents that I have talked to, also have concerns about the sign posting on Mill Street. They also support the removal of the signs. One of them had a relative get a $75 parking ticket for being there to drop something off, to visit and have a coffee. Really? Is this really what we want to be happening in our communities of Park Hill, Elsacrag, and even Nairn? Think about it. Even London has free parking right now. She contested that ticket and did not have to pay. She did contact an OPP and they said you can't collect on it anyway. So if that's true, why are you making rules that cannot be enforced and are costing taxpayers big bucks each time these bylaw enforcement officers come here? Rather than repeat the letter, the contents of the letter, I would like to give you an update of what is happening right now. People are coming around the corner on Mill Street, only to find there's no parking, and they're doing a U-turn right there and heading back down Main Street and out of the area. These U-turns are far more serious danger than anything else like parking on the side street. If someone comes around that corner and someone's making a U-turn, you can imagine a worst case scenario. I know from years of business experience at our bakery that if people cannot park close to a store, they will move on and go somewhere else to make their purchase. It is our fear that the placement of these no parking signs will continue on other side streets in town. We hope not. The reason we are so concerned about further street sign posting is that it disencourages our people from stopping in town to shop. People in cube vans and other large vehicles pull up to park on the side street by the Subway store. They run in, they grab their sandwich, and they head out. The same thing occurs at the dollar store and Grammy's Pizza. It's much more convenient for some people to park on the side street, go in the store and spend some time, than deal with cars in the parking lot. I'm one of those people. If I'm going to the dollar store to shop, I park on the side street. When Lickety Split is busy, people park on the side street. We have new homes being built in town with the hopes that people will increase the retail shopping flow in our community. What kind of unfriendly message are we sending to these new people, as well as the out-of-town customers with no parking signs everywhere? If I was looking to purchase a home here, one of the things I would do is drive around town to see the atmosphere. Our friendly store clerks are wonderful, but these unfriendly signs really discourage people. The new sign on our building that says "Do not park on the sidewalk" is really inviting. Our question is, how many pedestrians have complained about someone parking on the non-existent sidewalk and broken tarmac when folks are unloading donated items for the store? Could that sign be removed, please? It is so discouraging. Instead of encouraging shopping in town, the message you are sending is loud and clear: we don't need you to stop and shop here. And I mean, that's what people think. One person has indicated to me that one member of administration said that they see Park Hill as a service community rather than a retail one. And I beg to differ. We have many interesting shops in town. We do have great services here in town, and I often brag to my friends about that. Those services are a true benefit in drawing interest in Park Hill. Last Thursday, I was in 5 of 11 retail stores on our main street, and they were all busy with clients. Our administration and council should be developing a vision of what our main street can be. In these difficult times, our retail business owners are doing everything they can to promote their business as well as their counterparts in town. With the very important and interesting visible changes that will happen with the fire hall area on Main Street this year, we will be noticed. It will be a perfect opportunity to create a plan with a vision to draw interest in our retail sector. It is difficult to get together with people right now who have a vision and ideas for giving the town a boost of energy. But if plans were set forth now, even virtually, we could have something in the works by next summer if things ever improve concerning COVID. I've done my spiel, my time is up. Please consider our request, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Janet. So, Jackie, your staff, there's a couple of questions in there, very specific questions that I was wondering if you could speak to. And one was complaints by pedestrians about the sidewalk. The other one was about the fine and us collecting and that whole area there and what's going on there. Can someone respond to that? Jackie? I'll let Jackie start.
Okay, so we do have our municipal law enforcement officer here too. So I just will speak to the complaints. And as council is aware, complaints come in a variety of ways through council, or I shouldn't say complaints, proposed changes come before council as a result of a variety of ways. So sometimes these matters come before council because there are complaints. Some are noticed by staff and are brought forward. Some are noticed by council themselves and ask staff to look into them, or combination thereof. In the case with parking, we do have the benefit of consulting with our contracted service MEU, which was relatively new when we undertook the review of the parking bylaw. So having that expertise also benefits council greatly to be able to make decisions on these types of matters. I cannot speak, and under freedom of information, we do have to be careful about parking fines. So I will defer that to Bill in his expertise of what can be commented on.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. Bill, if you could just make comment to that particular.
Just through you, your worship, I just want to advise you that we did receive several complaints about parking in that area. And through working with staff, we spent several days trying to figure out solutions for that area. And the solution was to develop a municipal parking lot, which has been done. And we've also looked at the signage situation to try to control the traffic and the flow of traffic in that area. What is in place on Mill Street, we feel is the best solution. Through my years of experience, it seems to be a good solution. There's now a nice municipal parking lot. where people can park and they can still gain access to the uptown core area. As for the fines not being processed or taken care of, that has all been arranged through staff and myself with another agency to help process all the tickets. So the tickets are the tickets. When we write them, they will be either paid or they will go through the court process, depending on what comes out of a ticket once it's been processed. So other than that, I really can't comment on anything else that I think that would be relevant, unless there's a question that you have, Your Worship.
Okay, just before I go to council, the other question I would have, do we have good signage to show that parking lot? Like, do
No.
we have good signage up for that parking lot?
No,
If I can speak, your Mayor,
Yes,
Rob,
yes,
I think signage is in the works for that, and I do agree that would be very beneficial to show public parking down there. And I do think it is in a very, almost right in the middle of town. I think it's a very convenient area for people to park, right behind where the post office is, and right in your downtown core is where you want parking. I do think it was a great location, but signage definitely needs to go up.
okay, okay, thank you. So council, questions or comments? Oh, shoot. Councilor McClinchy, did you have your hand up?
no, Adrian's is.
Okay, Adrian, Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor Rob. My question is for Bill.
Yes,
Bill,
sir.
thank you. Can you help me understand the rationale or the benefit thereof of restricting parking along Mill Street all the way down to Station Street? I understand the rationale around the corner. That makes perfect sense to me. But what is the benefit to stop people from parking when they go to visit someone that lives on Mill Street?
Well, the problem that we've had on Mill Street is that it's not just being used for visitors. People are parking their vehicles and leaving them there long durations of time. And we've also been trying to clear that up. That's one of the problems. The other problem is that the street receives a lot of traffic. We've noticed that there was a lot of flow down that street. So that's when I found that there was an empty spot. We said, hey, why don't we put in a municipal lot there? That'll take the pressure off the street. Then we can put no parking down there. We also have problems with the apartments in that area where people won't park behind the building where they're supposed to. They think they can park on the street all the time. Not such a big deal in the summer, I guess, or in the spring, but throughout winter and fall, it becomes a problem. So it was decided when we discussed the operational idea of what we were going to do on Mill Street, that we would just cease all parking on that side of the street to prevent any more problems in the future. Yes, we could look at it again, but it hasn't even been a year yet for us to even see how the effects of the lot and what we've done have made a difference in the traffic. We are seeing a slight difference in the flow, but we're still seeing people that'll just park there illegally anyways, regardless of signage. So signage, parking lots, it's never 100% solvable problem, but with what's going on in that area and what we're seeing over the last little while that we've been in charge of your bylaw enforcement, it was an area that needed to be addressed and dealt with. We had complaints. The sidewalks were being blocked. People were parking where they shouldn't park. People couldn't see when they were trying to get out on the corner, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what prompted a really good study of that area, and that's why we made those decisions.
I understand everything you just said. My question for you though was, and to just come back to that, is that the signage of no parking all the way to Station Street, and that decision was made before the municipal parking lot was put into operation.
Yeah.
So now that it's put into operation, would it be worthwhile to look at it again?
Yes, it could be looked at again. We could maybe draw back some of the signage, but what is in the downtown core area, I would say at least 1,000 meters on that one side, we're going to have to keep it no parking. Because if you don't, people will just automatically go there and just use it, and we'll have problems with the apartments again and again and again.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I also had a question for Janet, if I may, Mayor Rob.
Yep.
Janet, since the municipal parking lot has been put into working order, what's the issue with not wanting to use that location, particularly when you have a loading zone right adjacent to the second blessings?
I'm not objecting to using the parking lot. We are objecting to not having access to the store. And through your worship, I would like to say, Mr. McKenzie had probably not received our original letter that spoke to a couple of things. One thing I am told is that the parking lot is not wide enough. People have trouble backing out of a parking spot without hitting someone. Our suggestion in that letter earlier was that the signs say no overnight parking, which we did not, or no parking between 8 o'clock and 6 a.m. Originally, the letter came to us concerning snow plowing, and that made sense. To us, putting signs saying no overnight parking or whatever would work. I do know, speaking to, and I was right there speaking to a owner, and the restaurant complained about the people parking in front of their restaurant. So the person moved down, is now parking in front of Jeanette's store. So that is an issue. I've lived in Park Hill for 53 years, and I have never seen no parking. I have never seen anyone park on the south side of Mill Street, anywhere from Station Street up to the present ambulance bay. And there are signs all the way down there. But the objection to the signs is that it is so unfriendly and people cannot come into our store. And we're not talking about loading zone. And the same thing with the gallery. People park there that use the gallery. They are also retail business. They sell the artwork that is in the gallery. So, and you're right, it's not hard to walk from the parking lot to the gallery, but there's no signage and you say it's coming. But those are our concerns that they really wanted you to know. And we really do think, and I've talked to two of the residents, and they really do, I'm surprised they didn't come to speak with you because they are not happy. Some of them have had to put in extra driveways for their second vehicle at their cost, of course. One person, their lot is too narrow to do that. So they're kind of stuck. So our concern is for our clients and for the citizens on that particular street. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Janet. Councillor McClinchy, go ahead. And then Jackie, you wanted to speak on this.
I can see no parking from Main Street right just beyond the ambulance, that area on both sides. I can see that as being a very busy and very congested area. And people really, if they drive down there, not really paying attention, they could hit somebody or some car. But what I don't understand is beyond that. Like, I don't see the point there. I really don't. I do know that that there's supposed to be no parking anywhere in town, you know, on side streets. Same with Broad Street, where they have the funeral home, they have the Legion. And when they have funerals, when they did have funerals, it was always congested along there at all times. And so why aren't those streets marked as well? Because I think we should, I don't think those streets beyond the ambulance, the signs should be there. I don't think they should be there. And they can accommodate people. And as far as people with their laneways, when they bought the property, they should know that they should, there should be enough parking for them to park if they have one vehicle or two vehicles. Like you have to make that a parking lot because like I'm off of Broad Street there and I park my own laneway, but I do not park out on the road because that's not my right to do that or anybody else. So I think there's kind of a problem both ways with the residents that don't have enough parking for themselves, as well as when they have visitor parking. Well, you know, you just have to tell them where they may have to park. in the parking lot or somewhere. So that's my point there.
Okay. Thanks, Doreen. Jackie, you wanted to speak on this, and then Councillor Moyer.
So I do think if it will be helpful to council, staff can certainly revisit that portion of Mill Street beyond the ambulance station to Station Street. That's not a problem. We can certainly have a look at it, reevaluate it. And if that will alleviate some concern, that's certainly something we can look into for council.
Okay. All right. Councillor Moyer?
This is for Jackie. Just have we had any complaints from the public on the signs down Station Street? Have you heard of anything?
I have not personally heard of anything. Initially, when the signage went up, a letter did go out to all the people down there. There was, I believe, maybe a couple of council members maybe heard from some citizens down there because it was change, it was new. We did also mention to council that we would reevaluate those signs, and so this just all kind of come together. So I definitely think it warrants, staff can certainly take a look, and if that will help alleviate some of the concerns coming out of that letter, then that's something easy enough to do. We can certainly do that. But there was definitely along that area, there's a lot of very short laneways, very narrow laneways, and it was just kind of escalating down there, and that's why it was just recommended to go down to the end. But we can certainly revisit that. That's not a problem.
Yeah, and I think they were put there for education as well. I mean, just because the signs are gone doesn't mean they're going to be allowed to park there now. So I guess they need to understand that.
You're absolutely correct, Councillor Moyer.
Okay, any other questions from council? No other questions? Okay, so we have this in front of us, and what's council's wish? Councillor McClinchy, you had some very specific concerns. Go ahead.
Well, let's have staff again look at the area beyond the ambulance right down to Station Street. I would suggest that. And they're saying about put no parking here to corner, sign back in place. Jenna, is that you're talking about when you turn around on the right, on the south side, right beside Blessings that you're talking about? There was one that sat in.
Yeah, no, it's, I think even, it could even move back a little bit farther, a little bit further west. But because I understand from Jackie that the way the sign indicates, when you look at it, I know it has an arrow on both sides, but it's angled. And Jackie said that, Brad said that has to be the way it is. But to me, what it looks like is you just can't park from there to the corner. You can't, it's not flush with the street is what I'm trying to say. So that people think that they can still park behind that sign. People are going to do what they're going to do. In front of Darcy's yesterday, there are 2 empty spots. One was full. The other fellow was parked between the sign and the corner. Yeah. So, but we really would like those signs to say no parking overnight, but that's obviously not going to be in your consideration. But that's what our board and the board of the Carnegie Gallery, that's what we had discussed, but it would be your decision. You're the council.
The thing is, Councillor or Mayor Rob, the thing is now it is with the winter snow plowing and that, it's very difficult. Like let's say Mill Street, Broad Street, King Street, if there's overnight parking there and the county of Middlesex has to come through that great big plow when they go to Main Street, and the town works department, they have to go plow these streets. It's very difficult if there are cars parked on any of those streets.
Your worship, may I reply?
Okay, yes.
Doreen, I'm talking about no overnight parking, but I'm not talking about removing the signs, right? Do the landlords and tenants know about the parking lot being available to them? Last question, I promise.
I believe that they were all notified by letter, if I'm correct.
Okay.
Okay, Jackie, you wanted to speak to that. You go
I
ahead.
would just like to clarify that. So we did not provide, again, it's public parking. So we would not go to landlords and tell them that there is parking available for their tenants. That's not what council's public parking lots are about. If there's room in the parking lots and a car parks there, we don't know who they are.
Okay.
The municipality would not individually have an invite of landlords to invite their tenants to park in that parking lot. That is a public parking lot.
Okay.
And the only other thing I just want to clarify for council as well, and Janet, is that no parking here to corner sign is no longer valid. That changed, and that sign is saying no parking in any direction. And the angling, and Janet, I understand your question with that. And, to most people, it does look like it, if it was set flush, it would make more sense. But under the Highway Traffic Act, there has to be an angle on those signs. And, but I just want to be clear on that it is no parking at all. So there is no, staff would not be bringing back a consideration to change that back to no parking here to corner. That was intended to eliminate it in its entirety along that stretch.
Okay.
Okay, so,
May I add something?
okay, you've got some,
What you're
yes,
asking,
you have something.
Janet's asking about no overnight parking signs. Well, that shouldn't only apply to Mill Street. That should apply to the whole town. If we're, why
Right.
would just, we're just focusing on Mill Street, but it should focus on the whole town for no overnight parking.
Correct. Jackie, go ahead.
Yeah.
Answer
So
to
just to clarify again, Councillor McClinchy, so the parking bylaw, it speaks that there's no overnight parking at any time of the year, but our particular focus is from December to March. 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. is marked on our entrances to our communities that there's no overnight parking, and that is to facilitate snow removal.
Right.
So in your parking bylaw, it's no parking overnight at any time of year,
Right.
but because our bylaw enforcement is part-time, our main focus is always for snow removal and to ensure there's the vehicles remain out of way for getting the equipment through. So I just want to make that clear as well. It is posted at our entrances.
Okay, so I want to bring this conversation to a close if we can here. Staff's going to look at the signage, revisit that, and also we'll get that signage up for the parking lot. And okay. And Janet, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Janet. All right, so let's go into department reports. The first one is for the backyard chicken pilot project request, and Jackie, you have a report for that.
I do. Thank you. To the mayor and members of council, a report was prepared for you and has been provided, entitled the Backyard Chickens Pilot Project Request. As council will recall, there was a delegation on October the 7th that requested consideration of a pilot project. And in particular, that would be looking at for our urban and hamlet areas, as currently livestock is only permitted in agricultural zoned areas, which is your A1 and A2. Just a few things I just want to highlight from the report. This has become very prevalent in Ontario municipalities, the question of that. Staff conducted some Google searches, but also had the benefit of the county planning department doing some research on it as well. And these pilot projects, or in some areas where it is permitted, they're mainly in bigger municipalities. What I was able to find is in Guelph, Norfolk County, Town of Georgina, Orillia, Niagara Falls, Kingston, bigger areas like that do have different types of bylaws that would permit that type of thing. I've also, in our lower tier in Middlesex County, I'm not aware of any municipality entertaining that either. And it's become prevalent in the Middlesex County municipalities. It's not just here, it's been Strathroy, it's been Middlesex Center. They've had the similar requests. Staff have done similar research, and it's come back with reports that do not recommend in favor of it, that that's not what was intended for our urban and hamlet areas. We've also had the benefit of the municipal enforcement unit and different municipalities that he covers as well with his service. And my understanding is none of those municipalities have that either. I just want to be clear again, municipal staff does not dispute any facts that the delegation brought forward. It was a very good presentation that they did, and we certainly understand the educational opportunity, the compost benefits, and that type of thing. So that was all taken into consideration in the report. Council will see in the report that I did provide some benefits, but we also provided some disadvantages. The disadvantages did outweigh the benefits in staff's opinion. And again, we do recognize there's some very responsible and conscientious ratepayers that it may be something like this could proceed, but you have to look at it in the broad scope. And when you're considering something like this, affecting the whole municipality, what might work with one person in one very select area may not work well in other areas. So we looked at it from more of a broad approach. So there, I guess if council has any questions specifically from the report, our Chief Menzie is also here that could answer questions. He's a resource, as well as our planner, Stephanie, is also here from a planning perspective. So we, at this point, before I read a recommendation, I would let it open up to any council questions.
Thank you, Jackie. Councillor Hamming, then Councillor McClinchy.
Yeah, Jackie, it's something that nobody has done, but it certainly is something that we could look into. Now, when the people that want to raise these backyard chickens is what I'm talking about, is basically chickens, and we can set that in bylaws stating what they're allowed, how much they're allowed, and whatnot. But they would register with the municipality, which means that not likely everybody in a hamlet is not going to want to raise them. But I myself, I would like to see this to be allowed in somewhat of a pilot thing with through the temporary use, which we've made recommendations for that in other instances, such as the dog kennel we were talking about. But I hear it from a lot of people through my business that they would like to see this to come to fruition. But I just want to state that it can be regulated and controlled, and I know that comes at a cost with the enforcement thing. But and I'd like to ask Bill that question, if he's ever been done a municipality where they do allow that to happen, and is it a big issue and whatnot. So
none of the municipalities that I currently patrol, which is quite a few now, it's getting bigger every day, do allow chickens within residential zones. There's just too many side problems that result from having that type of operation within a backyard. We've got the noise, we've got the smell, how many chickens. You're right that all can be regulated, but then it will come at a cost. We'll have to do inspections, you'll have to license people, staff time, all that stuff that goes with it becomes a little bit cumbersome. I've had several municipalities take a look at it, do the same research that Jackie and staff have done, and planner and myself, and the answer still comes back to the idea of no, it's just not going to work because it's just too cumbersome to try to administrate, and there'll be just too many complaints that will arise from it. I mean, we're dealing with people having backyard chickens. I at least get 3 calls a week from different places where we have to go and tell them, okay, you can't have the chickens, you have to remove them, your zoning is not allowing that. And that's the other part of the planner would have to chime in on is zoning. What is allowable in zoning? What isn't allowed in zoning? If we don't allow that in R1 or in a hamlet or any built up areas, then that's a whole change to the planning stuff, you know, and that's going to be more work and more cumbersome, but it does cause a lot more problems than there are benefits in my past experience over the last 15, 20 years when chickens have started to become a big thing with the public. And I totally understand what they're looking to do. I mean, they're looking to have some fresh eggs and, you know, and take care of some, you know, animals and stuff like that. But then when does it stop? Then it'll be chickens, then it'll be rabbits, then it'll be goats. And that's the problem that we see in some municipalities where they just want to keep, you know, I get that you want to have a hobby farm, but you should probably have agricultural property to have your hobby farm, not a residential zone where there's a whole bunch of houses and built up people. The noise, the smell, all that stuff comes into play, and then we're going to be getting complaints off the hook because that's what happens right now when we find these places. So.
Yeah, and also what might be a good thing, and I've never heard of it, what is the definition of a backyard, you know, chicken thing? You know, like how do you define it? You know?
There is really no definition. A chicken is a chicken. Other than the rooster part, right? Which that's another problem onto itself. If they have roosters, then more noise, more stuff comes into that play. But a chicken's a chicken. A farm animal is a farm animal. So what's ever considered a farm animal, whether it be a pig, chicken, goat, cow, horse, whatever, that's what we go by for definition for agricultural stuff.
All right.
Thank you. Councillor Lynchy. Sorry, you're muted, Doreen. You're still muted.
In Jackie's report, she says the municipality received complaints and is currently investigating this very matter in one of our urban areas. So, Bill, how is that being handled? Are they complying with that? You go to the site and they have maybe a barn full of chickens because they might be living on the outskirts of the municipality where it backs up onto agricultural. What's happening there?
Well, we've been investigating several cases within the municipality. We've had a few compliance where people have gotten rid of their chickens upon request. We've had a couple challenges, and they want to know a little bit more about their zoning because they figure they back onto a field that's agricultural, but they're not understanding that their property is zoned R1, you know, and we have to explain things to them. But for the most part, when we talk to people about this, and not just your municipality, but several municipalities, they remove the chickens. They do as they're told. We haven't had any court challenges. Thankfully, we haven't had to lay any charges. So most people understand if it's not a rule, you can't do it, you know, kind of thing. We are going to find those odd ones that will protest and give us a little bit of a hard time. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, nobody wants to be charged under zoning. No one wants to have to go to court because that's a summons. It's not a ticket. So, you know, it's how dedicated they are to the cause of having animals, I guess, that would dictate what will happen. But as for your municipality, the persons are being compliant. We have one that might be a little bit of a stick in the mud, but we're working on it with them and trying to deal with them to try to resolve it.
Isn't it interesting?
Thank you.
Where I live, I still have the original horse stalls in the barn. So years ago, they had horses, they had everything. At that time, that was survival, I guess, way back then. So, yeah, it's interesting how times have changed. But it's all for food and for survival.
Any other questions from council? No other questions from council at this time. Jackie, you have a recommendation. Would you read that, please?
Yes, I will. So the report prepared for council has the following recommendation for consideration. That council receive the report entitled Backyard Chickens Pilot Project Request, and further that the request to amend or create municipal bylaws to allow the keeping of backyard chickens in residential areas be denied at this time, and that bylaw enforcement continue to enforce compliance as per North Middlesex's zoning bylaw.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Mayor Rob.
Okay.
It just says about that it be denied at this time. What does that mean? Is there a time period we're gonna go back and look at it again, or is that just the way it's put down at this time?
Jackie, go ahead.
Mayor, no, it was not intended to come back to council, so I do apologize if council, if that's a misinterpretation, it should be just be denied.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor Hemming.
Yeah, so like say maybe 5 years down the road or 3 years down the road, people cannot come and see if it's possible to change again, or this is just an unlimited time on it.
People can always come back on if we're not
Okay.
approving it now, people can come back.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, that's all right, yeah.
Any other questions? We have a recommendation in front of us. Do we have a mover on the recommendation? Councillor Nicol, Deputy Mayor Knellison. Discussion on that? In favor of the recommendation? In favor? For, opposed? Opposed? 1, 2 opposed. The recommendation is carried. 4-2. Our next item is 2021 schedule of council meetings. And Jackie, that's you again? Go ahead.
Yep. So I have prepared for council for their consideration the schedule of council meetings that has been prepared in past years. And the only items I just note is what we're going through right now with the electronic meetings, and until we kind of get ourselves set in a path, perhaps through hybrid meetings, that if we will continue with a 6 o'clock start when they are electronic meetings and go back to the regular 7 o'clock when we are fully in person. So the schedule is basically based on how we have done in previous years.
All right, thank you. Any questions on it? We're looking for a mover for that. Councillor McClinchy, seconded by Councillor Moyer. All in favor? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. The next one is 2021 Administration and Service Ontario office closures.
And thank you, Mayor and members of council. Again, the report prepared for you is the annual report of when our Administration and Service Ontario office closures during the year.
Any questions on it? No questions? Need a mover for that? Deputy Mayor Knellison, Councillor Hemming, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Pound keeping services with Animal Care Center. Jackie, that's you again.
Thank you to the mayor and members of council. The report is the annual, or I'm sorry, not the annual, it's our animal control services contract. It's up for renewal. And we have in the past have had a long-term service with the Animal Care Center in Lobo for our pound keeping services. So traditionally it has been for dog pickup only. The only additional thing I was looking for council consideration is what we have noticed over the last couple of years, in particular with raccoons in Park Hill, Elsie Craigmore, in the urban areas in the downtowns, that we have seen an increase in calls from some retail owners or people walking in our downtown area that when there is raccoons there. Currently, we do have a name of an individual that comes from the Lucan area that would come out, but there's very set, he does work full time. He is able to live trap, but it's a lot of after the fact. So it's not a great setup, but you know, we have used it in the past. What happened last year, there was a couple raccoons that actually almost entered into one of our stores, and we had the OPP call. We had several members of the public call, and we were able to call the Animal Care Center. They do provide that service. They do live trapping and then rehouse the animal. So I was just looking whether council had any appetite to have staff look into that further, of adding that. And what I would be looking for is only in those kind of instances when it's on public property and a very much of a nuisance. that we would be able to call upon them. It would be approximately $190 cost to the municipality to have that. And again, it could certainly be a resource for people on their own private property, but that would be at their own cost. So the recommendation before council would be that council receive the report entitled Pound Keeping and Animal Care Services, and that staff be directed to negotiate an agreement with the Animal Care Center for services to include, and I'm looking for either just dog control is the same as in the past, or dog control with wildlife pickup on public property only.
Okay, questions from council on that. One comment I would make is I like that especially if that animal appears to be sick in some way, that's a big concern. So questions from council. Councillor Nicol, you had your hand up, I believe. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. What was the, can you tell me the cost of having the gentleman from the Lucan area come and remove those raccoons?
Yeah, I'm thinking just off the top of my head, sorry, I just don't have the exact number, but I think it was around $150.
Okay. And my other question is, you say on public property and you're discussing businesses. So to me, public property is on the sidewalk. What about those, for example, grocery stores that are loading up in the back bays? That is actually private property. Could very well have a nuisance. I guess my point is, like, at what point do we say public and private property? I think there's a real fine line there, and that the taxpayers have the same rights as everyone else that owns a business. So just, if we can clarify when we say public, how much area we're talking.
What's your suggestion on that, Joan?
I would just like clarification of it. So as to, so the back of the grocery store, for example, is private property. And yet there's a lot of the public that go in there to get to those services. And so that would be my concern at whose cost that would be. Okay,
thanks, Joan. Jonathan, you had your hand up there to answer to that.
Through your worship, and I might pass this over to the clerk in a second. Not answering your question directly, Councillor Joan, but I believe the intent of this is dealing with the raccoons that are sick. We had a number of calls in the last number of years for, I believe it's diphtheria or something like that, where the animals become confused and wander around. Those are the ones that we're immediately going afterwards. Isn't that correct, Jackie?
Yeah, that is correct. That's what the calls have been. There's been an evident that they appear sick. It's not that they're always sick. There has been, sometimes they show symptoms, which are very similar to distemper, but it's not actually that. And I'm not an expert. I don't know all the particulars, but from the animal control, I know they have been able to, they can make that determination. So yeah, I certainly understand, what do you start and stop with that? And I just was bringing it to council for consideration. So I would be open to what council's thoughts are on that.
And in contrast as well, the issue with maybe a business, I think you might be getting a dumpster scenario or food being left out. That is a tidy yard infraction that we would be able to leverage that side of the bylaw to try to weed out pest control at the same time.
Okay, Councillor Nicol.
Okay, well, thank you. That makes it a lot clearer. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Hemming, did you have your hand up as well?
No.
No? Okay, sorry. Any other questions from council on this? Okay, we have a recommendation that you can either with or without the wildlife. And so do we have a mover? Do we have a mover? Councillor McClinchy, you're moving and with negotiating wildlife as well on your motion? Yes? Okay. A seconder for that? Councillor Moyer. Discussion on it? All in favor? Carried. Thanks. Our next item is EDAC update and verbal update of the East Williams Optimist Outdoor Rink Agreement. And I believe, Mike, are you doing that?
Yes, Your Worship. So a couple separate things, but I'll start off with the economic development update. We haven't provided an update in some time, so I just wanted to provide council kind of some things that are we're working on in the background. So we do have the Huron Shores Transit Committee Initiative, Community Improvement Plan Process, 2020 Facade Improvement Program, Internet Broadband Infrastructure Progress, Park Hill Physician Recruitment Progress, and the Municipal Website Development. So pretty straightforward. I'm happy to answer questions on, it is a lengthy report, on any of these individual items. What I will speak to is, or I can provide a little bit of a brief update on the Park Hill Physician Recruitment Progress. Staff did meet with the Thames Valley Family Health Team. There is a distinction between family health teams and family health organizations, but we did meet with the team in Park Hill on Friday, and they took a tour of Dr. Thorpe's office. It was a very encouraging meeting. And I think the group, as you'll see in that's put together, is pretty good. It avoids almost that headhunter scenario, trying to find a physician. But at the root of the issue is that the Park Hill Clinic will have to join a family health organization. I mean, the most likely one is the one that already exists in Elsa Craig, and they are part of the group. Basically, without getting into the full explanation of how the funding works, these family health organizations are a group of doctors that offer holistic care, not just the physicians themselves. And through the province, these models do get paid the most. So you're not likely to recruit a physician on their own unless they're part of one of these health organizations. And the family health team sits above them as an umbrella, providing support services, physio, all that type of services for the doctors. So we did meet with the team. They did tour the clinic. I think they were actually happily surprised with the clinic and the size of it, as I know some others were when we took a tour through that. So that's the one I can specifically update since submitting the report. So I can answer any questions on any of these items, but the recommendation is to receive.
Okay, questions? Councillor Hemming and then the Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, this is for Mike. Hey, Mike, when I was reading this, I saw that there's the internet broadband with tech savvy was mentioned. Okay. Have they got people connected to that yet or not yet?
No. So, and Andy, maybe it'd be handy if I'll forward some of those emails. I have been to Gord and the mayor, just because they're specifically asking about some of these projects. They would have liked to already have these towers up. The COVID-19 situation did obviously slow up a lot of that progress for them, and not only in North Middlesex, but the adjoining networks that this will touch on. So they're hoping to have these in the early new year is what they're indicating. And Tech Savvy has been great to work with. They're looking for other locations, and the water tower in Elsa Craig has come up as a possible location to extend some of this services. So we're hoping to see them. They'll be a savior a bit, and I know some residents have heard of this, and we have been discussing that with them.
I assume it's good quality internet. I just because I'd like their number.
Yeah, so. I mean, it's not a cable or fiber to the door type of situation. This is wireless, but as we see technology, I assume at the end of the day, the best solution is going to be wireless. It's tough to run fiber down all of these roads, but it's not only wireless, it is expanding the cell phone network as well. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, send me what you got. Thanks.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Cornelison and then Councillor Moyer.
Thank you, Mayor Rob. And my question is for Mike as well with the internet broadband. Is Hayden Communications not installing some fiber in North Middlesex right now as we speak?
So John can help speak to this because he has been dealing with Hay, and I was talking to him about the exact locations of this. They have been running into a few issues that we've been sorting through the county of Middlesex with. So they are interested in running services, but there were a few roadblocks with the county that John was working with the county engineer to resolve.
Through your worship, I noticed for consideration at the last county council was an agreement with Hay Communication. Part of that was touching the municipality of North Middlesex. You can consider their rollout not only to include updates to some of the existing infrastructure that they have, but they are going further and wider. So that just came before county council recently. So I would expect Hay would be in contact with us shortly, because that's where the pause came from about 4 months ago in terms of the mapping and the rollout. So we're looking forward to have them reach out to us again, or we'll reach out to them in due course as well.
But Jonathan, as I drive to Grand Bend, I see they're putting infrastructure in along 81 highway. Is that not Hay?
I can speak to that. That's actually as a part of the Park Hill build out to run fiber to Westwood Estates. So we have reached out to Bell in that regard, Adrian, to see if that would be available to the residents along 81. We have not received any response back from Bell at this time.
Well, what are they doing there? Do we know? Because it's going in the ground.
That doesn't mean that residents along it will be able to access it, though, right?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but
Through
we
your
do
worship.
have inquiries in. So
Okay, thank you.
Through your worship, to Councillor Nielsen, it's that's the information that has been provided to me. This is part of Bell increasing their capacity in Park Hill to offer services to Westwood Estates. The fringe benefit that is coming to Park Hill is that they're doing an evaluation to roll out in Park Hill, and staff have been in constant communication with them in the last 3 to 4 weeks about establishing running lines, put them into contact with Integris to see if they can share pole location with Integris and running those lines. So right now what they're shooting and what you're looking at north of Park Hill is capacity. So they're bringing capacity down, and then they'll start rolling out gradually thereafter.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Moyer, you had Councillor Moyer and then Councillor McClinchy.
Yeah, it was just an update on the tech savvy. It looks like as of last week, the tower at Creamy Road is up and completed, it looks like.
Oh, that's good news. That's good news. Councillor McClinchy?
Mike, in regards to the bus stops and routes that's been mapped out, they got a summary of long distance routes, Grand Bend to London and back, making stops in Dashwood. Where would they stop in Dashwood? Exeter, Lucan. Do they have designated spots to where they would stop?
So what I will say to that, through the mayor to Councillor McClinchy, I know Brian may be able to jump in some of this as he attended the first meeting. I was just working off the minutes, and I will be attending afterwards after this point. The issue I do have with that, I will be frank, Lucan hasn't been involved in this process at all, but now they have a route to and from London. But I don't know specifics of Dashwood, and they're still working on some of the addresses for the stops in Elsa Craig and Park Hill. It'll be twice a week, so not very consistent service for anybody. So I will advocate on our behalf and have been. So I'm not sure. It is very Grand Bend focused, as you see, and Hampton Shore. So
there is a place in Dashwood that there's the haters where they have turkeys and stuff like that. We can buy all that meat and stuff and miscellaneous. So, there might be an advantage for some people that want to go there, so I just thought Dashwood, we're boats, but anyhow, so.
So, and to be honest, Doreen, they're still looking at some of those locations. Yeah. They're still, at the last meeting, they were still looking at where they would end up stopping, where the stops would be. So.
Okay, I just wondered, yeah.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Canellis.
Thank you. I have one more question for Mike. In your report, or the headline, it indicates an update on the Nairn Rink agreement. When I did
Yes,
see anything-
that's a separate item, but I can speak to that. So we have been working with East William Optimist, Brandon and myself. So we had a good sit-down meeting, went over the agreement, how it was working with them. What I will say is that agreement was overcomplicated, the existing one. So what we've done is simplified it, put it out for another 5 years. I think the old agreement was requesting audited books and everything by the East Williams, which was never done. So we've really simplified it. We've talked about some better communication and meeting a minimum at least one time a year to go over rink needs and some of the process. So it was a good meeting. I think they're generally happy with the agreement moving forward for another 5 years.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council? Councillor Moyer.
I guess we're talking about the East Williams agreement now. I was wondering, does the municipality's COVID protocols extend onto the Narren area as well?
Yeah, and I anticipated this question, so I will have Brandon speak to that, as he has been working with the East William Optimist to see the rink open during this season. But Brandon.
Okay,
yeah.
and just something else possibly for you, Mike. Was there any? Do you foresee any additional cost to the municipality?
I think there's still a lean-to be built. We do have some funds available for that. We did discuss, there's no immediate upgrades other than that. I believe, Brandon, you can chime in. To the rink itself, we were going to look at some of the lighting. I mean, minor costs. There are some other works to be done there. We're looking at separate from the rink, just for your information, that their meeting room in there. We did get a quote to put a door in the back of there, because I would say the back of that meeting room that they're in existing is a bit of a death trap. There's only one way out, and it's through the kitchen and the fryers. So that was outlined by them. So we have been working. We did just repair a drain. The parking lot has been flooding. So the drain has been repaired as of the last week, I think. So yeah, Brandon will speak to the COVID and resuming the programming there.
Yeah, I know they are initially when that, I know both you gentlemen weren't there when that initial agreement came up. And the municipality has taken on probably considerable more costs than what was anticipated from it. That we did have our initial costs that we put in, and that was supposed to be then. We have added on to the building. I think we've contributed to the ice cleaning machinery. So there has been some extra costs that the municipality has incurred in that, for sure.
And through your workshop, we did speak to some of that, Gord, and what the process was supposed to be. They would submit something every year for the budget committee's consideration. It wasn't just a rubber stamping of anything to do there. And they were talking about some of the costs that they thought we should be providing, but it's clear in the agreement that operational they're providing, such as maintenance on the machine and gasoline. So it was a really good discussion, Gordon, and outlining some of that. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think to clarify some of that, right, so that there wasn't unexpected cost to the municipality. Correct, Mike? Just to clarify. Brandon, go ahead. You're going to speak to the COVID portion of this?
Yeah, so through Mayor Ropp to Councillor Moyer, specifically with COVID, I'm planning on working with Ortwin. He's the president of the East Williams Optimist Club, as well as Bob Jones. And I think the attack plan that we're going with is similar to other outdoor recreational things that we have, such as a playground, our pavilions. We're going to take the surface area and how many people can you socially distance on that surface area and put a max capacity sign up. That will be the responsibility of the Optimist Club to just, when they're there, if there's large groups, remind them that they need to be socially distanced. And we'll work with the health unit a little bit on it as well, but that's our plan of attack for that.
Mike, question on that, Mike, or pardon me, on Brandon. Is that considered indoors there? because, I mean, it's a roof, or is it considered outdoors?
We consider it outdoors. I will speak with our health inspector to make sure they're on the same page. An outdoor rink, to consider it indoors, it's got, the reason they consider a lot of things indoors is because lack of ventilation and fresh air. I don't believe that it'll be.
Okay, no, I was just asking. Okay. Any other questions? No other questions? We have a recommendation on the report. Who'd like to move that? Councillor Moyer? Hello? Councillor Nichols? All in favor? Oh, sorry. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We do have one more report, two more reports, I guess. Municipality significant event policy.
Yes, through your worship, I will speak to that. So we were asked to look at this policy. So to kind of give a quick background on this, patrons, when they're serving alcohol, a special occasion permit is required anytime alcohol is offered for sale, served, or consumed anywhere other than a licensed establishment or private place. And public event permits can be issued to registered charities, nonprofit organizations, tailgate events, and the last one is for events of municipal, provincial, and national or international significance. So people outside of these, a charitable organization, nonprofits, they do have an option to go to the municipality to get a special occasion permit and to deem it as a municipally significant event. The two options to deem it are through a council resolution, or that council deem that authority to the clerk. And attached to the report is a full policy that has, I should mention, been through the policy committee. So it gives the municipal clerk the full rights to administer this process, and the process is clearly outlined. So it just saves time. When people come with these events, you'll probably notice we're rushing them to council to get them before you to deem them municipally significant. I think there was a charitable one last year, but this just streamlines the process. It's fully laid out on how we would do that. So the recommendation is that council adopt the municipally significant event policy, and further that council delegate authority to designate municipally significant events to the municipal clerk or their written designate. So I will take questions, and Brandon's a bit more of an expert on this field than me, so he can answer questions as well.
Questions from council? No questions? Okay, we're looking for a mover for this policy. Councillor Nichol, Councillor Plinchi, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. So the last one is the waiving of arena advertising due to COVID restrictions and verbal updates from the municipal alcohol policy. And I think Brandon's doing that, is he?
Yeah. So through Mayor Ropp and members of council, the policy in front of you is a recommendation to waive the advertising fees for the arena board signs. With COVID-19, we don't really have a clear outlook of what the rest of our hockey season looks like. For many of our advertisers, a board sign, they put it up and advertise with us, expecting out-of-town people to see their business. We can't guarantee that anyone from outside of town is going to be in our arena this year. We also can't guarantee that we're going to have a full season of hockey this year. And on top of that, I feel that many of the businesses who advertise with us are small businesses who have really been hurt by COVID this year. Many restaurants have seen lower revenues. So because of those three main reasons, we feel it unfair to force people to pay their advertising bills when they're really not getting the same level of advertising service that they have in the past.
Any questions from council on that? No, I think it's a great idea, Brandon. Oh, Councilor, Deputy Mayor Colonel?
No, I was just going to say the same thing, Mayor Rob. I think it's a great idea and it's worthwhile. I support it.
Okay. Okay, and you have another report on the alcohol policy?
Yes, so the verbal update on the municipal alcohol policy, we went to policy committee updating it with just a little bit more clarification for people who are hosting events at our facilities that involve alcohol. The previous policy was very unclear as to what each type of event was, what they needed for each type of event. It didn't address tailgating, which we have had a few people ask, like, can we have tailgating, which the AGCO has been very forward with that, saying unless you're having a University of Western football game hosting 30,000 people at your facility, you're not going to qualify. So it is just an update to bring our policy to the 2020 standards.
Okay, any questions on that policy? All right, we do have a recommendation in front of us on both. Councillor Hemming, Councillor McClinchy, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks on the report, staff. Passing of accounts from October 15th to 28th in the amount of $343,244.38. And that's Tracy's department.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, the report is recommending the payment of the bills and accounts in the amount of $343,244.38. Are there any questions on the AP?
Questions from council? Oh, no questions. You're getting off really easy, Tracy.
Yeah.
We need a mover to pay the accounts. Councillor Nickel, Deputy Mayor Cornelison, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Tracy. Committee reports. Lake Huron Pipeline.
Yeah, Brian.
Go ahead. Yep.
Something that you might find interesting as a result of that one-day storm that we had there with those high winds and stuff. Out
Yep.
at the primary water board, they lost 4 to 6 meters of shoreline due to the erosion on that. So it's
Sauble Bayfield's got a lot of work for Sauble Bayfield on that, boy.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
for sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Anything else on that? Nothing else. ABCA, Deputy Mayor Cornelison.
Nothing other than Maria Valise, I believe, is coming to make a presentation to County Council at the end of November. And will Brian Horner be joining her that same day? Did we decide on that?
I believe he is, correct? Yeah. Jackie's saying yes.
Yes.
Okay, so he'll be coming over for any questions on the proposed budget for the ABCA.
And Mary's going to talk more about some of the projects they're doing, correct?
Yes.
Some of the work they're doing. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Blue Water, anything? Councilor McClinchy?
Just see for your information, and if you have any questions on the 2021 budget, you would have to talk to Francis on that. So.
Okay. Any questions for Blue Water?
I was
No,
looking.
Andy, do you have a question? No?
No.
Oh,
no.
you just got it. Okay. EDAC, Councilor Moyer? Okay. The local school advisory?
Nothing? No.
Okay. Recreation committee, nothing there right now. Water wastewater committee, nothing for that. Policy review committee, you've seen the policies that have come forward from the committee. Fire committee, John's not here. Is there anything to report there?
We have a meeting next week.
Next week?
Yes.
You see the lot looks pretty good. They've got it all cleared out. Jonathan, are they moving that fencing out of there? Because some of it's fallen down.
Through your worship, they were actually supposed to move it before the windstorm, but I believe the trailer that they used was occupied somewhere else. But I confirmed with the chief there that it should be gone by this week, so either tomorrow or Friday.
Okay.
I would like to note that some of the fencing is staying as it is pertinent to people who had that privacy. So 4 homes.
Right.
Sections of that will be staying. It's about $200 to $300 a month, I believe. And we're going to put some mesh up for them until we get to full build out next year.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Budget committee, we have a date booked, I believe, right? For our first
November
meeting?
18th.
18th? Okay, I didn't have my calendar in front of me. Aqua, anything there, Jonathan?
The fourth quarter meeting is they're trying for December, but it may be pushed back till January.
Okay. Community Development Fund Committee, there's nothing there for us yet, correct? Do
No,
we have
got
applications?
November 30th.
November 30th?
Yeah.
Thank you. And the Joint Billing Committee, I don't think we have anything there right now. So correspondence. Minister of Finance, acknowledgement of participating in the delegation at AMO conference. If you remember, that was a joint delegation. And Enbridge, notice that the rate increase effective April 1st of next year. Other and urgent business. Councillor Nickel and then Councillor Moyer.
Yes, I was just wondering, Remembrance Day, if the municipality is involved. I've been asked to represent North Middlesex, sorry, excuse me, at the nursing home here in Ellis Craig. And I was just wondering if anyone else is doing anything for our veterans.
I think Mike can speak to that.
Briefly, through your worship, I do know that the Park Hill Legion is not holding a full ceremony. They're holding a small ceremony, and they're going to broadcast it to Facebook Live. And I have put out calls to the Elsa Craig Legion a couple of times. They don't have voicemail, and I have not heard anything from them or can find anything online. So if anyone does have information from the Elsa Craig Legion, I would appreciate it.
All right. Well, I believe we can contact, I'll contact either Ron Whitmore or Rob Whitmore and see what their plans are. And Mike, have you heard what Park Hill means by a small? Are they looking for someone from the municipality?
So I did put out a call to them as well to find out if they are looking for a counselor to participate. And I have not heard anything yet, and confirmed through Jackie today or yesterday that they have not reached out to Jackie either.
Okay, thank you. Gord, do you know anything at Lurie, what's going on?
I haven't heard anything, no.
Okay, we'll have to find out about that one.
To the Park Hill Legion as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's, yeah, okay. So maybe we can check with that one as well. All right, perfect, thank you. Is there anything else on that, Joan? Nothing else? Gord, you had your hand up for other business.
Yeah, just wondering, I know there have been some organizations and looking for property in North Middlesex. I know some have purchased some for some growing operations. And I know with some of the other municipalities, some of the issues that they're having, I'm just wondering if maybe we should be proactive in getting a bylaw set in place for just, I guess, some regulations, and just so everybody knows coming in where we stand on the issues.
Okay, so just be proactive rather than reactive. Jonathan, you want to?
Through your worship,
comment
to Councillor Moyer, you're speaking about the cannabis grow-ops, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Staff can certainly look into that, and we'll be in consultation with county planning to that effect.
Okay, thank you.
Have we been approached by anyone yet, Jonathan?
Through your worship, we've had some solicitation in terms of seeking land, but I am unaware of anybody actually purchasing land for that use. Right now, we can't really, because of the greenhouse and our official plan being a little outdated, we can't allow grow ops in the traditional sense of weed MD in Strathroy. But what has been discussed before, and Bill Menzies went into a really good example of this, is that loophole with medical cannabis that now exists in the industry. And I think that's the position that Councillor Moyer is looking for us to be proactive in, because the other side is very, very, very regulated. This other one is full of loopholes that can be taken advantage of. So we'll explore kind of both options. One of them will definitely be addressed through greenhouses in our official plan. The other one, I think, is policy and more reform related to medical use and how we interact with that.
Okay. I know of one property that has been purchased for that.
Right. I have heard that as well, Councillor Moyer.
Yeah.
I have heard that as well. So, okay, so staff's gonna look into that for a policy or what to do? Perfect. Any other business? No other business? All right, you see the deferred items. Hey, the list is getting pretty short. Communications, including county council. Adrian, would you like to?
Sure, certainly, Mayor Rob. Thank you. Yeah, we did discuss the Hay communications issues at county council, and we approved the recommendation as it was requested. So an interesting note, we have almost gender parity on county council. And so we've supported the establishment of a women's caucus at county council, which I think it's a good thing. It's an exciting opportunity, I think, and they'll be looking perhaps, I think, for other members to join their caucus as they move forward. We had a good discussion on speed limits. Nothing has changed in our municipality. And of course, we had a robust discussion on the rumble strips, which Mayor Rob, just for your information, I did go on the weekend. I did go to Melbourne and Glendon Drive there. And I spoke with somebody. I actually stood there and witnessed what they're enduring every day. And I think was something that we need to follow up on. Other than that, I don't think there's, I don't know did you want to talk about the meeting we had on Monday, Mayor Rob, or not?
Well, yeah, not specifically, but just county, we had a 3.5-hour meeting, I think, or a 3-hour meeting at least on governance going forward with the makeup of governance for county council. And it was actually a very good conversation, and it was by far the best conversation we've had on that, looking at things in the future and the governance of it for numbers and representation and that type of thing. So nothing's decided, of course, but we had a very good conversation on it. And because those of us on the outer limits of Middlesex County have different, it's different than surrounding London, of course. So we had a very good conversation, and we'll see what happens with that going forward.
Yes.
Any questions for us on, any questions for us on county council? I would say, I guess this is other business more so than the county council, but it made me think of the bridges. And very soon, the engineer is getting his reports on the Blacks Bridge about what we're going to do with that. And I know that's going to be a budget item for the budget committee going in the near future. And it made me think of, I don't know, we put it on Facebook or on social media at all, Mike. Jonathan Lampman and I went to, along with Rod Dupuy as well, to the site at the Beechwood Bridge. And it's quite an undertaking. It's an impressive job that they're doing there. It's really, you see where all the money goes. We won't see it after it's all done because the money's in the ground, but it's quite impressive. It's quite a project. And the bridge will be about 20 meters longer, right, Jonathan? Going up the hill, it's actually going to be put down right down to bedrock and 20 meters longer. So it's quite a project. If you get a chance, have a look at it. So I haven't got anything else.
Mayor Rob, I actually do have one more thing. It's not necessarily county council, but as a committee of county council, the Rural Education Task Force, and we had a meeting on Monday. And through the Thames Valley School Board, we will be putting out what they call a thought exchange. They'll be soliciting member municipalities to put it on their websites and encouraging all of us, of course, to put it out to as many people in the public as we can. And there'll be one question, basically. What are the challenges and unique opportunities in the Thames Valley School Board schools, and how do you think opportunities can be enhanced? And there's a breakdown down to 4 other sub-questions to that. And so there's no right or wrong answers. There's no limits. They're just looking for feedback from people, the public here in the rural areas. And that'll be coming out the last 2 weeks of November.
Okay, thank you. Another survey, right?
Well, it's not, we didn't call it a survey, it's a thought exchange.
Good, because, okay. It's funny, we talked about the survey thing.
I know.
Okay, is there any other business? Nothing? Okay, reading of the bylaws. Jackie.
Bylaw 83, to authorize the execution of the agreement with the Optimist Club for the Nairn Outdoor Rink and bylaw 84, your confirming bylaw. We're looking for first and second reading.
Counselor McClinchy and Counselor Moyer, all in favor? Carried. Third and final. Yeah. Third and final.
Mhm.
Deputy Mayor Cornelison and Counselor Nickel, all in favor? Carried. All right, one last piece of business. I see your hand still up. Did you have something else? No. Move to adjourn by Counselor McClinchy. Second, if Counselor Keogh's not here, I don't know if we can do it. We need a seconder. Counselor Nickel, you'll second it. All in favor. Bye, everyone. Have a good evening.